This year, the Brackeys 2021.1 Game Jam had a theme of Stronger Together. I've always been a solo dev, but true to the jam's theme, I opted to join forces with another awesome game dev, Tyler Green. We kicked off the week by creating a running list of possible games. After several phone calls and countless texts, we ended up going with none of our ideas. Instead, we took bits and pieces from a variety of our thoughts and came up with something completely different. After a healthy debate, we landed on a rhythm-based team fighting game. The player controls a unified line of knights and holds back incoming enemies by attacking them at exactly the right time. Now that we had a mostly fleshed out idea, it was time to organize our workflow. My working style as a solo game dev is pretty much like making a Jackson Pollock painting. I just sling code around my project until it looks like I made something good. Because this chaotic approach to making games doesn't really translate so well to co-op mode, we set up a basic Trello board and broke out our ideas into clear tickets. On day 2, we hit the ground running and started typing up scripts. Right away, I noticed a few differences between my code and Tyler's.
If you want to make a video game,
My background in C# starts and ends with Unity. Everything I know comes from YouTube tutorials and Stack Overflow debates. In stark contrast, Tyler has a much more formal coding background. I worked on breaking a couple bad habits and learned some best practices from him. After overcoming our coding differences, we were able to collaborate much better in the long run. On day 3, we finished up most of our essential scripts and worked towards fine-tuning the basic mechanics of our game. We were somewhat ahead of schedule and started to look more seriously at a growing list of stretch goals. At this point, it felt like we were flying high and everything was possible. The game was coming along nicely, it just didn't look great yet. On day 4, we continued with adding cool features into our game while also throwing in a few 3D models my wife made in Blender. Because our main players were human knights, we needed to set up bones and prep for creating human-like attack animations. I've heard of a couple great online tools to help with rigging, but with only 3 days left in the jam, we went with a basic approach and just hooked it all up in Blender. The rig itself wasn't perfect, but came out alright. Any weird imperfections I noticed in Unity could be hidden from the camera's view. Next, we just needed to add in some animations. On day 5, the benefits of working with another dev became very clear. Tyler continued on with adding new code features, while I was able to shift focus over to our animations. Getting animations to look good from rigged models is not one of my strengths. The last time I worked with a rig, it took me several weeks to get right, but we didn't have that kind of time. Fighting against the clock, I'll admit, I cut a few corners. I'm not proud of it, but as long as we stuck with a fixed camera angle, the broken arm that flies out when our knights attack isn't too noticeable. It's not perfect, but with only 2 days left in the jam, it was good enough. On day 6, I focused entirely on creating music and sound effects for our game. I can't even express how awesome it was to spend time on this while still seeing the game's more technical aspects continue to be built out by Tyler. When it came to the music, we pulled inspiration from older Zelda games to make a basic cinematic battle song. We wanted to create that classic boss battle music, but not overpower all the other sound effects. To make sure the music worked well with all our other audio, I switched over to making some sword slicing and enemy explosion sounds. We also put together a list of additional sounds, then I ran around the house looking for stuff to hit and shake into the microphone. With the sound effects coming together, the game is finally starting to feel a bit juicier. Initially, our only goal for day 7 was to simply create a working build for each major platform, but the last day proved to be anything but simple. Although our project file size wasn't that big, for some reason it took my laptop nearly 30 minutes to produce the first build. When I calculated the time it would take to upload and test every build at the current rate, I'd be done around 4 AM. Fortunately, Tyler was able to jump in, but we never thought to test a build on his computer. Of course, we ran into problems. You'll have to check out his devlog to get a full picture of what happened, but he eventually worked through any issues and produced a working Windows build. While he tested Windows, I was able to knock out the remaining platform builds. Together, we finally uploaded everything to itch and successfully submitted our game into the Brackeys 2021.1 Game Jam. Whew. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to see my next game. Until then, you take care of yourself. Bye.